Hey, welcome back to Past Gas. This week we're talking about German F1 driver and legend Jochen Rindt. Very interesting story. Seems like a cool guy. He owned a spice factory, which is very interesting. This guy sends it, all right? So sit back, relax, and listen to the story of Jochen Rindt.
It's the first day of summer today. I wish we had some eggs we could balance.
First day of summer?
What?
Okay, guys.
Wait, what? No.
On the equinoxes, it's easier to balance eggs.
Yeah, you know how all year it's kind of hard to balance eggs?
I guess I have noticed that. Yeah.
Well, on the equinoxes, it's a little bit easier.
It's a little bit easier.
Why is that?
I tried because something about the poles are lined up or something.
All the poles are lined up.
Yeah.
Is this like that thing that happened last year or like during 2020?
It happens every year.
Well, no, everyone's balancing the freaking brooms on TikTok. Do you remember that? Thinking it was some like energy vortex thing. It's like, no, it's only because this is the only time anyone's ever cared to balance their brooms.
Oh my God, what a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
I got half a mind to beat your ass.
I got half a mind to beat your ass.
I got half a mind to beat your ass.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to beat my ass. Mm-hmm. I've been waiting my whole life. I've been waiting for my whole life to get my ass beat.
I can't believe you've done this.
I'm basically begging for you to beat my ass.
I'll beat your ass blue.
I'll beat your ass blue. I'll beat your ass blind. I'll beat your ass blind, back, and blue.
Now, I'd probably hurt my fist right on the first punch.
On my ass?
Yeah.
I've been doing squats.
Yeah. And you got that BLL.
I got that BLL. Big bottom.
Yeah, BLL is just Bud Light Lime.
Yeah. Oh, I love BLLs. I had a BLL this weekend. It's really refreshing. But a BBL,
big bottom
you got to go to
lover.
Brazil to get that butt lift.
I got
Actually,
BBL.
no. When we were in Atlanta, we met the guy who did our COVID tests for
Was
this
he
event.
caked up?
No. But
Caked up dump trucks.
him and his wife had a business where they did the butt injections.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Injections?
Don't get the butt
Yeah,
injection.
so it's just like an injection, and it promotes the growth of some sort of skin cell that like thickens your
No.
butt.
Wait, so
don't do the butt
BBLs
injections.
are just thick skin on your butt? I don't think that's right.
It might be a different technique. I know there's one where they put implants in your butt, right?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That's
but then
what
there's
I want.
also
That's what I'm trying to get.
injections. That's like the cheaper, easier option. Because you just go into this clinic every month and get these injections.
They're not
and
good
then
for you.
Your cake gets bigger.
Don't do it. Just do
I don't
squats.
like injections, though.
I do.
Well, I mean, what?
But
So maybe that gets rid of some of that like wet laundry bag look to a butt. But I don't think it promotes enough growth that you're getting caked
Well,
up.
it clearly
on your dump
does because
truck.
this guy was
Caked up
like, he
dump
drove
truck.
away in a Range Rover.
oh.
It was doing good business for him.
Oh,
So it must
he's
work.
an OnlyFans and he shows his cake on
No,
stream?
he does him and his business. That's his business. He does COVID tests and butt injections. That was
COVID tests and butt
that was the
injections.
business.
Caked up dump truck.
He was cool.
He's a needle man.
He was nice.
Needle man loves to poke.
That guy's pretty comfortable with needles.
That guy loves to put things up your nose and needles in your touche.
That's right.
I've got half a mind to poke your butt with my needle right now.
Poking paid for this range. I got half a mind to beat your ass.
All right, let's get into it. August 2nd, 1970, Hockenheim, Germany. 28-year-old Jochen Rindt stands atop the winner's podium, holding the German Grand Prix championship trophy. His wife and younger daughter stand proudly at his side. He looks across the crowd of cheering Germans and thinks back to the 1961 German Grand Prix, when he was one of them. A schoolboy watching his first ever F1 race, realizing for the first time that he wanted to become a driver. 9 years later, he was on the top of the racing world, poised to become a world champion. Little did he know that this would be his last time standing atop the podium. How did the death of his parents set Jochen Rindt to the path of being one of the most feared racing drivers of his era? Was Jochen Rindt's historic 1970 season an outlier, or glimmers of a rising superstar snuffed out too soon? Did Jochen Rindt have a lasting impact on the sport? Or 50 plus years later, has his story been reduced to a macabre trivia question? Today on Past Gas, the story of Jochen Rindt.
Past Gas Podcast. It's about cars, it's not about farts.
Big thank you to one of the OG sponsors of Past Gas. It's Valvoline Motor Oil. You know the deal. Valvoline Extended Protection Full Synthetic High Mileage. It's Valvoline's best performing motor oil ever for engines with more than 75,000 miles. And that includes me. My car's got almost 200,000 miles now. And you know I'm putting this stuff in my engine. You can get Valvoline wherever you buy your motor oil. Thank you very much, Valvoline. Big thank you to our sponsor this week, Turo. Turo is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Find your drive. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com. Thank you, Turo. Big thank you to our sponsor this week, Chime. Start building your credit up. Open a Chime checking account with at least $200 qualifying direct deposit to get started. Get started at chime.com/gas. That's chime.com/gas. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank N.A., member FDIC. Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Late payment may negatively impact your credit score. Results may vary.
I wish that auto history was in most pub trivia games because
I do decently.
We'd do pretty good.
Yeah.
We'd be unstoppable.
I destroy a pub trivia.
What's your
I
forte?
destroy a pub trivia bathroom.
Anything,
Are you an entertainment guy?
all and everything.
I do
Yes.
not know literature at all. They're always
No.
like, what is the book written by Ayn Rand? I don't know.
Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah,
The
that's always
Fountainhead.
it. That's always it. They only mention that one.
I did a pratfall earlier this morning.
Hell yeah.
And you're still recovering?
And I fell onto my shoulder directly onto the the
Nice.
concrete floor, and
That's
was like,
commitment.
that was stupid of me.
I bet that was hilarious. Little old to start doing physical comedy.
I now realize that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a young man's
I didn't
game.
do any stretch or anything. I just went for it and landed directly on my shoulder.
Oh,
and
man.
it feels all right now. But I was like, I hope I didn't just mess up my entire
You
week
may
just
have.
now.
My
Yeah.
shoulder's been hurting for about a month now.
Yeah.
And I'm numb to it, but
I
not
just
numb
got
'cause it
over
hurts.
shoulder. I tried to dunk, and I ripped a bunch of muscles in my shoulders.
You guys are just
reaching.
asking for it. All I did was sleep in my bed.
You know what I'm saving up for right now is those pants that squeeze your
I
legs.
know you
What?
said this.
I tried it at my friend's house, and they made my legs feel so
Joe
good.
and I were having a conversation, and we were both like, oh man, I gotta quit spending money. It's like, yeah, I had a really expensive month. And we're like, yeah, let's quit spending money. And then Joe goes, yeah, but there are these pants that squeeze your legs.
Yeah.
$700.
They're so great, though. I mean, you could get $150 ones from Amazon, but who's to say
you
what
need
they
the
do?
good ones.
Might squeeze too hard.
So wait, do you have to get them sized to your body, or is it just a
lot of
sleeve
them are
you put
like
on your leg? or
universal. No, they're like halfway between a sleeve and pants, where they're separated. They're
Chaps.
separated. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a chap.
But you put one
Okay.
of them on, and then you put the other on, and they go all the way up to your butt, and
Okay.
they just
And it just squeezes.
periodically, like a blood pressure machine,
Right.
squeeze your legs, let go, squeeze them. But man, I was walking around the next day with no pain. They're supposedly take care of varicose veins and stuff like that. So what
Cool.
I'm saying is, I think if you're trying to get into the leg squeezing,
Pants market, you can't go wrong.
Wow.
With Joe's Roo pants.
My name is Nolan Sykes. Welcome to Past Gas. Joined by my co-host, as always, Sleepy James Pumphrey
I got half a mind to beat your ass.
and Squeezy Joe Rebber.
what's up, Wink Wink Nation? This is Squeezy Joe Weber. Just saying, keep it juiced.
Keep it juice, keep it squeezy.
And it ain't easy being squeezy.
It ain't easy to be squeeze or squeeze it.
Oh, you could probably put some oranges in the pants and have fresh squeezed orange juice every
Dude,
morning.
it pays for
without
itself.
any work.
Dude, you could just set up a cart before
Yeah.
work, put in a good 3 hours for the commuters, make your money back in 6 months.
It's like a Nathan for You business pitch. It's
Yeah.
like you're trying to sneak orange juice into a Subway or something.
Yeah, and then it malfunctions and it just spooges orange
Lots of
juice. Why is there so much
pulp
orange juice coming from
everywhere.
your pants?
Pulp.
All right, so sorry. This week we're talking about Jochen Rindt.
Jochen Rindt.
The German driver, F1 driver. This is another F1 driver story right here, guys.
And I just want to say right away, this is not the guy with the skull helmet.
It's not. That's Jochen Mass.
Yeah, I literally Googled Jochen Rindt helmet.
Yeah.
I was like, is he the skull helmet guy?
It's a different guy. Maybe we will talk about Jochen Mass at some point. But this is Jochen Rindt.
But we've made that mistake hundreds of times.
Hundreds of times.
So you're forgiven.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it, huh? Jochen Rindt was born on April 18th, 1942 in Mainz, Germany. When he was 15 months old, at the height of World War II, both of his parents were killed during an Allied bombing raid in Hamburg, Germany. Jochen was moved to Graz, Austria, where he was raised by his maternal grandparents. From an early age, Jochen was competitive and had a passion for speed. One day, he arrived at his primary school with a wooden scooter and began slaloming downhill around teachers and students at high speeds.
Jochen, stop that!
But he never knocked anyone over. He never knocked on nobody.
He never knocked on nobody.
His teacher pulled him aside, telling him to slow down for the safety of himself and everyone else. He responded, quote,
"But I didn't go fast at all."
You think that's fast? Watch this.
Watch this. But I didn't go fast at all.
His need for speed only grew as he got older, breaking bones in multiple ski racing accidents. And as a teen, he upgraded to moped racing with his friends on motocross tracks. That sounds kind of fun.
Moped on motocross tracks?
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
His races tended to only have two results, a win or a crash, foreshadowing his career in auto racing. Speaking of risky kind of transportation, I almost bought a longboard this weekend again.
No!
Longboard, skateboard.
You used to have one, right?
I used to be really into that in high school. And I was like looking at him, and then I thought back to my broken collarbone.
When you broke your collarbone when you bought a BMX bike.
At 26.
You're doing pratfalls, you're buying skateboards.
I didn't buy the skateboard though. I restrained myself, practiced self-control, and said, you know what? I don't don't need that hospital bill right
Chloe, if you're listening, put this man under lock and key.
No, I told her, I said, hey, I didn't buy something this weekend. Isn't that mature of me? And she said, yes, actually.
Yes.
You got through a quarter-life crisis.
I kind of did last year, I think.
Oh, yeah?
What did you buy?
Well, I didn't buy anything, but when we were preparing for Bonneville and I was doing like the practicing getting out of the car with all my safety gear and everything. And after that, I was like, oh, I could die doing this.
Yeah.
So for like a month, I was like, I thought I was going to die.
Whoa.
At Bonneville.
Whoa.
I was like, this could happen. I could be trapped in the car.
But you still went through with it?
Yeah.
And it didn't end up.
Well, it ended up raining out.
Yeah.
Maybe that was God being like, you would have died.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Those are pre-tears.
But anyway, can't wait to go again this year.
Yeah. Sounds like you love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I want to go fast.
I had this obsession since I was 16 that I was going to die at 35.
Whoa.
And so the whole year when I was 35, I was like not skating. I was not doing anything risky.
Why 35?
I was on mushrooms when I was 16 and it was like a vision came to me.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And then I couldn't not think about it.
Yeah.
You were 35? Gross.
All right. Anyway, Jochen endeared himself to classmates with his pranks and antics.
Nice. My kind of guy.
A behavior that resulted in popularity, but also expulsion from several schools.
Which makes you cooler.
Yeah.
Once was when he almost ran a teacher over on his motorcycle.
Oh.
Yeah. He learned to drive during a brief stint at a school in England before being expelled, after which he drove for the next 18 months without a license.
Nolan and I got pulled over on the way home from a shoot the other day, and this cop was like, hey, do you guys have any guns in the car? And we were like, no. And he was like, I'm just kidding. I love your videos.
Yeah.
So he just pulled you over to say hi?
Yeah.
That's an abuse of the law.
It was weird.
It was normal.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, Jochen was caught by the police the day before he was eligible to receive his license after driving without it for 18 months. Ironic. Eventually, Jochen was given a license, and in 1960, at the age of 18, he received his first car, a Volkswagen Beetle, that he was notorious for flinging around the streets of his hometown, keeping him on a first-name basis with the local police officers.
There goes Jochen again. Screech!
1961 was the year that Jochen was truly put on track toward his career in racing. His friend and future F1 racer, Helmut Marko.
Oh, from the Petronas fame. Oh, Red Bull.
No,
yeah.
he's the guy that he brings you on.
Yeah.
He's like the talent
He's
manager
the
for
HR
Red
guy.
Bull. Anyway, Helmut Marko brought him to watch his first F1 race, driving 14 hours to the German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. Exhausted, they passed out next to a section of the track, waking in the morning to the sounds of roaring engines. That'd be sick.
Yeah. I know, dude.
That'd be dope as hell. Jochen got to witness his hero race in person. The German Count Wolfgang von Trips.
Oh, no way. That's like a fake name.
We talked about Wolfgang in the Phil Hill episode.
Yeah, we've mentioned him a few times.
Yeah.
And it was at this moment that Jochen knew he was going to be a race car driver.
And so Wolfgang von Trips grew up in the Silver Arrows era and watched, didn't watch, but witnessed the guys dying on the Autobahn trying to set, world records, speed records. Wanted to become those guys, like a national German hero, became that and died.
As listeners of this show may know, Von Trips died tragically a few months after this in a crash during the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. But the death of his idol did nothing to deflate young Jochen's dreams, and in 1961 he entered his first auto race driving his grandmother's Simca Montlhéry. He was almost immediately black flagged and disqualified for dangerous driving.
This does not look like a race car, by the way.
Well, it's his grandmother's.
Yeah.
That looks like the car that Ron and Harry fly to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I can see this being a little sports car.
Yeah.
It's a little sedan.
What's the Lotus sedan?
That's a Cortina.
Cortina,
Yeah.
Jay Leno's.
I was going to say
guy has
Cortado, but that's
This
a
does
coffee.
look like a little Cortina.
Yeah.
Same style.
I'm a big fan of square cars. I got 2 of them.
You do.
My cars are rectangles.
They work very well in geometry workbooks.
They are easy
and your
to
Golf
draw.
was square in a previous life.
Yeah. My Golf is a little rounded, but
It's still squarish.
it's very
It's
square.
boxy.
I got boxy car syndrome. Yeah, BCS. Jochen continued to gain recognition and rapidly ascended the racing circuits, graduating from the What?
Nothing.
Graduating from the Simca to an Alfa Romeo GT 1300
Nice.
to Formula Junior in a Cooper T67. By 1964, Jochen decided he was ready to compete in F2. He grew up wealthy, having inherited a spice factory from his late father. What? Nice. Like in Dune.
Yeah.
And was able to jumpstart the next phase of his racing career without outside support.
The spice must
It's like
flow.
James Hunt.
Dreams are messages from the deep.
Yeah, dude, I know that. He purchased a Brabham BT10 for £4,000. Jochen ended up retiring from both heats in his first race, but in his second, on May 18th, 1964, Jochen defeated legendary British racer Graham Hill.
Oh, wow.
And won the London Trophy race at the Crystal Palace Circuit, which sounds like it's in Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Go Crystal Palace FC.
Okay, any track but Crystal Palace. Always with a full tank of confidence, Jochen approached the press on his own volition. So, don't you want to write something about me? Who plays him?
He's got a very unique look. So I think.
Waltz. Miles Teller.
Miles Teller. Nice.
Oh, yeah. He
Pretty
gets
little
like a
Miles Teller
prosthetic
look.
nose, though.
He looks like his face stopped being made,
Yeah.
right? Like he looks like the beginning of a drawing.
Like the 3D printer malfunctioned at some point.
It's just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's like it's like they drew his face and then they're like, well, I don't really need to shade it in or anything. Like, you ever go to like an art, like a high school art show?
Yeah.
In high school, not
And there's
now.
some like portrait that they spent so much time
Yeah,
drawing.
like
and
the
it-
eyes are too far apart.
Yeah.
He looks like one of those murals in Hollywood. Like Johnny
yeah,
Depp.
where like, yeah, Johnny Depp looks like a zombie for some reason.
Yeah, and Leonardo DiCaprio has eyes on the side of his head like a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most British journalists had never heard of Jochen Most British journalists had never heard of Jochen. Many mistaking him in the next morning's papers as the Australian who had flung his vehicle around corners at unimaginable angles. But with this victory, a star was born.
They're different countries.
Different countries, different continents.
They say Alps or kangaroos.
If you want to hear about Australians, maybe last week's episode might be fun for you. The press quickly learned Jochen's correct country of origin. And racing aficionados began to take notice. He crashed often and was hospitalized on several occasions, but if he crossed the finish line, it was often in first place. During this era, even the best F1 drivers had to top off their income by racing elsewhere. Jochen was no exception. And by the end of the 60s, he was called the king of F2, winning 29 races in his career, defeating his more famous contemporaries like Jackie Stewart and Jim Clark. When asked about his aggressive driving style, he replied, "Nobody knows how long he will live. Because of this, you will have to do as much as you can, as fast as you can. Watch me eat. Watch."
He was talking about himself in third person.
No, he's talking about anybody, so no one knows how long he will live. That's like the figurative us. Jochen was just getting started. What?
It was Jürgen and now it's Jochen.
It's Jochen. Jochen. I don't like how you pronounce Jochen. It's not Jochen. There's a lot of guys named Jochen who are really offended by this. You want to say that past gas at donutmedia.com. Please stop doing Austrian accents. They've been through a lot.
It's not a good look.
It's not a good look to say Jochen, okay? Well, Jochen was just getting started. In August 1964, just 3 months after his first F2 race, he made his F1 debut at his home circuit, the Austrian Grand Prix, driving a lone Brabham BT11.
Nice.
He was forced to retire on the 58th lap with a broken steering column, but there was no denying his skill.
Jochen, your car's broken.
Shut up!
I'm not joking.
I'm not joking. Jochen, car's broken.
No, I'm not smoking.
No, I'm gonna drink a Coke and
I'm drinking a Coke and Jochen's broken. Car's broken. I'm not joking. This is not stoking us out.
You keep driving that, you'd be croaking.
Be croaking, dude. He signed a 3-year contract with Cooper starting in the 1965 season, paired with a guy that you guys might be familiar with, my uncle, Bruce McLaren.
never heard of him.
Never heard of him?
No.
He's my freaking uncle. You met him. You met him at my barbecue.
I wish, dude.
He called it a bobby.
They did.
We ate rue meat.
Let's not start with the ruse again.
I can't stop.
What's the Austrian version of kangaroo?
Austrian version
Like
of
a ram?
Nazi. No, probably a ram.
Yeah, like a ram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ramaroos.
A huge thank you to our sponsor this week, longtime sponsors of Past Gas and Donut Media. We've got a sign up in our garage of Valvoline. That's right. Valvoline's extended protection, full synthetic, high mileage is Valvoline's best performing motor oil ever for engines with more than 75,000 miles. You know that includes your boy right here, my Mustang. She's got 181,000 miles. She's an old girl. She's getting there, but she's still running strong thanks to Valvoline full synthetic high mileage. You know it's the only motor oil I run in my car. That's because as engines get older, the effects of wear, friction, heat, and deposits start to take their toll. And if your engine parts aren't properly protected, they can wear down, leading to reduced gas mileage, lower horsepower, and worst of all, shorter engine life. I do not want my engine to blow because that would suck because I'd have to get a new car. So that's why I use Valvoline full synthetic high mileage, because I want my engine to be protected, and you should too. Join Team Donut, join Team Valvoline by putting Valvoline in your car, and you're going to be much happier for it. So get Valvoline in your car today. Thank you so much, Valvoline, for sponsoring this episode. Big thank you to our sponsor this week, Chime. Do you have a summer anthem? Well, here's a song you can sing all summer long. It's the Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card, a better way to build your credit. As in, you can build your credit score safely with everyday purchases and on-time payments. Plus, there's no annual fee, interest, or credit check to get started. That's right, no annual fees, interest, or credit check to apply. You can use the card everywhere Visa credit cards are accepted, which is pretty much everywhere, and you can build your credit using your own money. With Chime's checking account, you can get paid up to 2 days earlier as well. With a qualifying direct deposit, you can get access to your money sooner. Another awesome thing is that you have access to up to 60,000 plus fee-free ATMs. That's more than the top 3 national banks combined. If you're looking for an easy way to manage your money, Chime is a great way to get started. So start building your credit up. Open a Chime checking account with at least $200 qualifying direct deposit to get started. And to get started, you just go to chime.com/gas. That's chime.com/gas. Thank you so much, Chime, for sponsoring this episode. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by Stride Bank N.A., member FDIC. Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Late payment may negatively impact your credit score. Results may vary.
Jochen's passion for racing was pure and simple, quoted saying,
I go racing basically because I like it. I am now making money out of it, which I am very happy about. But I would never do it just for money, which is like what rich people say.
Yeah.
You know,
wait, doesn't this guy have like a spice factory?
Yeah, he inherited a spice factory.
Inherited a bunch of money.
I would never do it for money because, like, money, like,
I
what
don't
even?
need money.
Yeah, what even is money? You know, like
It's just money, dude. It's
just money, bro.
It's all cinnamon to me.
There's a scene in Harriet the Spy where her poor friend, Harriet's family has money, and her poor friend goes to buy groceries, and he doesn't have enough money, and she oversees him, and she ends up paying for some of his groceries, and he's embarrassed, and she says, I hate money. And he says, you'd like it a lot more if you didn't have any.
Yeah.
And I remember that all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes Jochen would compete in 3 races a day, so naturally it was a dream come true to compete in the 24 hours of Le Mans. His first time behind the wheel was in 1965 in a Ferrari 250 LM and paired with an American, Maston Gregory, for the North American Racing Team, or NART. It was reported that neither driver believed the car stood a chance in the race and considered the endeavor a paying chore. Guys, like, you're in the coolest race
In
ever.
a Ferrari.
In a Ferrari. Please have, like, some positivity. Be
Yeah, and they
optimistic.
thought that so loudly that now we're telling their story like
That is
60
crazy.
years later,
Yeah.
and like that's part of the story.
Yeah. Despite their losing attitudes, the competitive Jochen was always seeking an edge. As many listeners of the show know, the start at Le Mans isn't like other races. It wasn't at the time. The drivers had to sprint up a slope on foot to jump in the cockpit of their car. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Jochen somersaulted into his seat, his foot landing directly on the accelerator.
What?
And
Nice.
he was off the line by far.
You
Because of
still
that.
had to start the car, though.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Aren't their cars started?
I don't think so.
No, that's
think they gotta fire
why
them
they're
up.
on the left side, so you can shift. Yeah, that's why Porsche's ignition is on the left side too.
What?
That's
I love
kinda
that. Okay. What?
What?
Okay.
Okay, Porsche. I
Okay,
see
Porsche.
you.
I see you, Porsche.
Yeah.
Porsche.
That's the sound of a Porsche going by.
Yeah.
However, their assumptions about the car were correct, guys. The Ferrari wouldn't restart during the first pit stop, and later they experienced engine failure. The outlook was bleak enough that Jochen changed out of his racing uniform. However, when the car revved back to life after 30 minutes of repairs, Jochen and Maston decided to drive flat out until the engine failed for good.
That's fun.
Jochen drove from dusk to dawn, pushing them from 18th to 3rd place.
Wow.
Maston convinced Jochen to let him take the wheel for one last leg of the race, doubtful that his 23-year-old partner would have the restraint to coax the laboring car to the finish. Miraculously, though, they won.
Wow.
With fellow racer Jackie Ickx commenting afterwards,
They drove like maniacs.
wow.
that just goes to prove you don't need a good attitude to win.
I guess not. Yeah,
Wine.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, make it apparent that you're unhappy and you'll win.
Yeah. I don't think that's a lesson they took away from that.
I took that away.
They're probably like, ugh, it was our driving and not this stupid
Now
machine.
I got to come back next year.
Now I gotta come back next year. Maybe I'll have to drive some crappy like a freaking Aston Martin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive Ferrari again.
Yeah.
I like these guys. By now, Jochen had become Austria's first giant sports star and raised the popularity of motorsports in the country to heights previously reserved only for skiing.
We love going downhill.
We have all these hills. We might as well go down them.
What else are we going to do with him?
Go up him?
Up? No one's ever gone up.
I think you might be onto something. His casually confident demeanor was sometimes interpreted as arrogance. Okay. What's that like? And could best be compared to Aaron Rodgers.
What?
That's our best comparison?
That's the best one we could come up
So
with.
he's like kind of aloof and he does ayahuasca?
His casually confident demeanor was sometimes interpreted as arrogance. If he didn't like you, you knew it. But his flash on and off the track made him a fan favorite, and Sports Illustrated nicknamed him the Young Savage.
Nice.
That you got the Sports Illustrated call you that too, right?
Yeah, that's what they call Nolan.
Yeah.
That's kind of a bummer. While another journalist called him the James Dean of motor racing, which is what they call me, who would inevitably seek the sustenance of a cigarette whenever he stepped from the cockpit. What
Nice.
a freaking sexy sentence. What a horned up sentence. Inevitably seek the sustenance of a cigarette whenever he stepped from the cockpit.
Nice.
Can I use your phone?
Do you have an iPhone 4 charger?
That's a quote. Jochen would arrive on race day in a large fur coat, drive brilliantly fast, then go home with his wife Nina, a Finnish fashion model and daughter of racing driver Kurt Lincoln. Kurt Lincoln, who sang, "This is how we do it." Love Kurt Lincoln. Kurt Lincoln. This is how we do it. It's Friday night.
Who's actually the guy?
Kurt Lincoln. And the feeling's right. Parties here on the west side.
I can't think of his name because
Got my son-in-law, Jochen, driving up. I got the keys to that
Montel
truck.
Jordan, but just nowhere near Kurt Lincoln.
It feels so good. Jochen had actually raced against his future father-in-law back in Formula Juniors.
Cool.
In 1965, he put together the first racing car exhibition in Austria, inviting high-profile colleagues and friends like Jackie Stewart to attend. Although Jackie was pretty much obligated to say yes since the two were neighbors. The event continues to this day in Germany as the Essen Motor Show.
Oh,
sick.
Okay.
Thanks in large part to his unofficial manager and friend, Bernie Ecclestone.
This guy's
everywhere. Jochen became heavily sponsored, starred in tons of advertisements, and even hosted a monthly TV show in Vienna called Motorama, on which he would give driving tips to citizens, report on that month's Grand Prix, and interview fellow drivers. His boyhood friend, Helmut Zwicky, called him the driving instructor of the nation.
Cool.
Thank you, Helmut.
I'm a Jochen bro.
Jochen bro.
Yeah. I'm a Rindt bro.
Rindt bro.
You're under Rindt control.
Rindt control's a great name.
You got to pay the rent.
Nice.
It's the first of the month. Time to pay the rent.
Wake up.
That's what I
passes you.
Yeah. Oh, it's the first of the month. Time to pay the rent.
I'm the instructor of the nation.
I'm the driving instructor of the nation.
However, Jochen's rise to fame did not immediately parallel his rise to the podium. The Cooper team was struggling at the time, and Jochen's best result in 1965, his first full season in F1, was a fourth-place finish at the German Grand Prix. Yeah. He would finish the season with just 4 points and 13th place for the championship. In 1966, this marked Formula One's return to power. New rules allowed the capacity of normally aspirated engines to double to 3 liters. Although the specifications had been announced 3 years earlier, many teams were far from ready. That year, Cooper introduced its T81 chassis, using 9-year-old Maserati V12 engines, which were heavy, but since many other teams are struggling with the new rules, the car was competitive.
So it's a 3-liter V12? That's pretty crazy.
Oh, it sounds like a monster. Yep, just like that. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Jochen took second place in the second race of that year, the Belgian Grand Prix. The wet track favored Jack Surtees's Ferrari, but Jochen's Cooper team was thrilled with the result. His, quote, very courageous drive was his first podium in Formula One. He achieved 3 podium positions that year, placing 3rd in the championship overall.
That's a good glow up right there.
Yeah. His 1967 season was less successful, however. He finished only 2 of 11 races, both in 4th place, coming in 13th for the championship once again. However, at only 25 years old, and now at the end of his contract with Cooper, he was a highly sought-after driver for the 1968 season, receiving offers from every team except Honda and Lotus. He went with Brabham, the world champions of the last 2 seasons.
I would too.
Yeah, not bad, dude. Freaking back-to-back champs. Yeah, I'll go there, sure.
Just like how Aaron Rodgers signs with NFL champs Jets.
The Jets. Unfortunately, though, Brabham's Repco V8 engine wasn't competitive against the now widely used Cosworth DFV. And due to the technical problems, he would once again finish only 2 races on the season. The first race of the year was the South African Grand Prix on New Year's Day. He placed 3rd behind Graham Hill in 2nd, and his close friend Jim Clark won that race. And sadly, this would be Clark's final F1 race. He died 3 months later during an F2 race in Germany, and Jochen was deeply affected by Jim's death. During this period, Jochen twice crossed the pond to race in the Indy 500, but his string of bad luck continued, and he didn't finish in 67 or 68. Speaking about the race, he remarked, quote,
"It is catastrophic. I always feel like I'm on my way to my own funeral.
Wow.
But I'm never late because I'm very fast."
That's a crazy thing to say about yourself.
Yeah, it is. We're all on our way to our own funeral.
Wow.
If you think about it.
We just have
think
like
about it.
I don't want
2,000 stops before.
Yeah, hopefully I got a couple more stops before my funeral. If 1969 was the summer of love for Jochen, it was the summer of Lotus. Nice. Determined to fulfill his championship aspirations, he made the bold choice to leave Brabham and sign with the defending Constructors' Champion, which also paired him with defending Drivers' Champion, Graham Hill.
His enemy.
His straight-up enemy, dude. It's Graham Hill. I call him Grand Cracker. But Jochen still had serious trepidations. It was undeniable that driving for Lotus would be his best chance at winning a championship. However, the Lotus cars were notoriously unreliable, and Jochen was effectively replacing Lotus's late former champion and his friend, Jim Clark. Jochen remarked, "At Lotus, I will be either become world champion or die trying." So, that's my favorite 50 Cent album.
I would become Lotus champ or die trying. With the hits. Heat.
So he signed the contract and became the first non-English driver in the team's history.
Wow, cool.
Jochen's concerns were almost immediately justified during his second race with Lotus at the Spanish Grand Prix. Due to special modifications, the wings of Graham's car collapsed on lap 9 and he swerved violently into the Armco barriers.
Sweet.
Hill was extremely fortunate to walk away unharmed. Just 11 laps later, Jochen suffered the same wing collapse in the exact same spot.
Wow.
His car smashed through the already damaged barriers and straight into Hill's wreckage.
Oh, bummer.
They didn't even clear it.
Jeez.
Jochen's car flipped 12 feet into the air, landing upside down. There's no roof on these things and no halo at this point. Hill was still at the site of the crash and helped pull his unconscious teammate to safety. Miraculously, Jochen only suffered a concussion, facial wounds, and a broken nose. But he was furious at Chapman and held him responsible for the wrecks.
Wow.
Colin Chapman, the owner of Lotus. My uncle.
That's a bummer for both the wings to break in the same way at the same turn.
Yeah, and the guy's still there.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Pressure creates diamonds, and the tension between Jochen and Chapman created a formidable racer in 1969. Jackie Stewart called it the season that Jochen came of age and said that he was the driver I'm most worried about when I'm racing.
That's a perfect. The impression gives you a sense of his height too. He's a small guy.
He's but the wee fella.
Yeah,
he's a wee. Jochen was in the mix of several exciting finishes, including the Italian Grand Prix that ended in a four-way photo finish with Jackie Stewart finishing just 0.08 of a second ahead of Jochen for first place.
Wow.
And Jean-Pierre Beltois and Bruce McLaren less than 0.19 seconds behind him. It was the closest 1, 2, 3, 4 finish in the history.
That is
of the
crazy.
sport.
4 cars side by
I
side.
know. I want a poster of that.
Positively nutty.
Positively, it's straight up bonkers. The penultimate race of the season was the U.S. Grand Prix at Watkins Glen in upstate New York.
Nice. The Glen, baby. We love it.
We love
the
the
Finger
Glen,
Lakes.
dude.
I love the Finger Lakes.
We love the Finger Lakes. Give me licking them Finger Lakes while I'm eating them Buffalo Wild Wings. Jochen started from pole position and jockeyed with 3 Brabham cars for the lead. Jochen managed to fend off his friend Pierce Courage,
Cool name.
who was quite brave, to finally win his first F1 race. With tears in his eyes, he accepted his trophy and $50,000 purse, a record prize for F1 at the time.
You know, it's about $410,000 today.
That's pretty decent. Yeah. Jochen had tasted victory and set his sights on the 1970 season, determined to dominate.
Big thank you to our sponsor this week, Turo. Turo is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. You can book a spacious SUV or minivan for a family road trip. You can get a classic or luxury car for a special event, birthday, or holiday. I was in Texas a couple years ago. I rented a Jeep Wrangler. It was awesome. It was a 2-door. It had a 6-speed manual transmission. It was great. Then when I was in Seattle, I needed something that could keep me out of the rain. I rented a Toyota Camry with Turo, and it was also awesome. I loved that thing. Find affordable economy cars if you're on a budget and just need to get from A to B. Or you know what? You can test drive that new electric vehicle you've had your eye on to see how it fits in your everyday life. Many Turo hosts can even deliver the car right to you. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Find your drive. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com. After retirements in the first 2 races, Jochen was hoping to simply finish his first race of the season at the Monaco Grand Prix. Due to a laundry list of mechanical issues with the newly designed Lotus 72, he was driving the relatively more reliable Lotus 49. With 5 laps to go, Jack Brabham had a cozy, just snuggled up, 15-second lead, victory well in hand. Or so he thought. Jochen was bearing down on Brabham, and by the final lap, he was just a few lengths behind. Still a seemingly safe lead at that point in the race. But well aware of Jochen's daring nature, the veteran driver took an unusual line on the final hairpin to block away any last-second tricks from the rising Austrian. But he broke too late. He locked up his wheels and slid into the barriers as Jochen passed him and on to victory in an old, obsolete car. The rise of the king had begun.
King of F2, more like King of F1.
2 races later at the Dutch Grand Prix, Jochen debuted the new and improved Lotus 72. The car was well worth the wait, as Jochen easily qualified in pole position and cruised to victory without breaking a sweat.
This is one of my favorite cars to drive in driving sims.
It is a cool little number. Sadly, his second victory of the season was marred by tragedy. On lap 23, his good friend, Pierce Courage, who he had eaten dinner with the night before, died in a fiery crash. This was the second racing death in just 19 days, as Jochen's former teammate, Bruce McLaren, was killed days before the Belgian Grand Prix.
Man.
That was during a testing session, though, not during a race.
How do you just keep going when like two of your best friends
I don't
die?
know,
Two of
man.
your best
2
friends
weeks?
died doing a thing you're about to do.
Yeah, it's pretty nutty.
It's like if both of you guys died doing a podcast, I would not be doing this right now.
Yeah.
I'd be like, let's figure out why.
Jochen was devastated, but he finally had the tools to match his skills, an unfinished business. He called the Lotus 72, quote,
The best racing car that exists at the moment.
when it worked. At the next race, the French Grand Prix, he suffered a steering failure. Storming into the garage after the race, Jochen screamed at Colin Chapman.
If this happens again and I survive, I'll kill all of you.
He really did have half a mind to beat their ass.
He had quite half a mind to beat their ass. The dog went home, ordered a pizza, and went to bed.
Important side note to that story, though, Jochen had just won the race, and this made it 2 in a row, which put him in the lead for the championship.
Do you think that's how Colin Chapman was like able to get him to calm down? But you won, my baby.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he
Listen,
called him
my
his baby
baby,
for
you
sure.
won.
Yeah.
You won, my baby.
Come here. And he kisses his forehead.
Next up was the British Grand Prix at Brands Hatch, which turned out to be a repeat of the race in Monaco. Again, Jochen had pole position, and again on the final lap, it seemed like victory was in the bag for Jack Brabham. But, as we all know, scientifically, time is a flat circle, and again on the last run, misfortune struck. His car ran out of petrol. Jack Brabham's car.
Yeah.
Jochen rounded the last turn, having accepted second place, only to suddenly find himself in first while a fuming Brabham rolled to second. That made it 3 wins in a row, baby.
I could just see Brabham with a steaming car on the side of the road, shaking his fists.
Crap!
Crap!
Ah, crud!
Ah, heckin' crap!
Oh, heckin' crap!
Next up was the German Grand Prix. The race was set to take place at Nürburgring, where Jochen's dream had begun.
This is a montage.
Yeah, it is.
BTWs.
Yeah. But the Grand Prix Drivers Association, headed
so much more.
headed by Jochen and Graham Hill, they boycotted the venue due to safety concerns, and the race was moved to Hockenheim Ring.
Babies.
The race became a 2-way battle between Jochen and Getty Images, who was in second place for the Drivers' Championship. Jochen exchanged leads with Ick's Ferrari several times, but he won out in the end. 4 in a row.
4 in a row, dog.
That's still like a huge accomplishment to
Oh,
do that today.
sure, dude.
A points finish was all Jochen needed to clinch the World Championship. The venue for the Italian Grand Prix in Monza was known for its high speeds, and Jochen had observed that the Ferraris of Jackie Ickx and Clay Regazzoni were consistently running 10 miles per hour faster than his Lotus at the Austrian Grand Prix. To increase his speed and stay competitive, Jochen opted to drop his car's rear wings. It made the car more difficult to control, but Jochen had the championship in his sights, and he was going to do everything in his power to secure it. Less aerodynamics means less drag, means you can have a higher top speed, which is definitely very important at Monza. It's a very high-speed
But
track.
less pressure on the back wheels to keep them nice and...
Less grip.
Which
baby.
means more squirrel factor.
Yeah. The squirrel factor was out of control.
Yeah. The day before the race on September 5th, Jochen was driving in a practice session. He was driving at high speeds, and at the exact spot where his hero, Wolfgang von Trips, had crashed and perished 9 years prior, Jochen lost control, suddenly veering sharply to the left and straight into a guardrail, destroying the front of the car. Ever since the death of Pierce Courage, Jochen was in the habit of only using 4 of the 5-point harness in order to make it easier to escape the car in the event of a fire.
Ugh.
The adjustment resulted in injuries that led to his death. Jochen Rindt was 28 years old.
So he's submarined.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So like the 4-point harness, you got 2 around your
lap.
that
Two around
create
your
a belt,
shoulders.
and then 1 on each shoulder that comes down and connects to those. Then you got 1 that goes between your legs and connects to that same buckle, which keeps you from sliding under your harness. And it sounds like he didn't have that one buckled, and he submarined.
Yeah. Always
Which-
have that crotch belt done.
I'm wearing my crotch belt right now.
Nice.
Jochen was buried in Graz, Austria on September 11th. Swedish driver Jochen Bonnier gave the eulogy, saying, "To die doing something that you love to do is to die happy." And Jochen had the admiration and the respect of all of us. Regardless of what happens in the remaining Grand Prix this year, to all of us, Jochen is the world champion. Jackie X was unable to surpass Jochen's points total in the remaining 4 races of the season, and Jochen became the first Austrian champion, as well as the only driver to posthumously win the world championship.
Wow.
The championship trophy was handed to his widow, Nina Rindt, by Jackie Stewart on November 18th, 1970, in a ceremony in Paris.
Wow.
Sadly, Jochen Rindt is mostly remembered in the history books for this fact: the only posthumous F1 champion. And outside of the 1970 season, his statistics don't jump off the page. Of his 60 F1 starts, he retired from 35 of them. However, this is not indicative of a mediocre driver with a fluke-dominant season. He was a driver's driver with the same confidence and skill as his more decorated contemporaries, and any of them would acknowledge that his 1969 and 1970 seasons were just the beginning of his ascension to the top of the racing world. The signs were there since he was a young boy, and once he set his eyes on motor racing, it was a mad dash until the end.
Well said.
Bummer.
Thanks, I made that up.
Wow. Yeah. Pretty. That's a sad.
Dude,
sad
I'm
end.
a Rindt bro, dude.
Yeah.
I love Jochen Rindt.
Yeah. Great story.
He sounds cool. He's brash in all the right ways.
Mm-hmm.
He owns a spice factory.
Can't forget that.
He went out before he got ugly.
So send him in to me.
I don't want to
You
go
should
out
get-
before I get ugly, though. I want to be old and gross.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be so old and so gross.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, I can wait. I want to take a long time to get old and gross, but I would like to eventually grow to be old and gross.
Yeah.
And I would love for me and my lady to grow old and gross together. Although
I
she'll
want to
never
like
be
find
gross.
a flap of skin that
Yeah.
I haven't touched in years.
Yeah.
I just like scrape the dead skin off.
I want my nurse to have to roll me over
Yeah.
and apply ointment
To your bed sores.
to my bed sores.
So wait, you want to be bedridden?
Eventually. That's the
I mean,
dream.
we're talking like
That's the-
50-year goals right now, right?
Well, I also want to download my consciousness into a Mac.
That'd be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
We got some reader mail this week.
But I have Alzheimer's. So I'm a Mac. I'm a Mac with Alzheimer's.
You're
the
like
last thing I wanna
mech
deal
robot
with
that
is with-
doesn't realize who his kid
Yeah.
is.
It's the life, man. You're right. That's the life. Okay, we got reader mail this week.
I'm a huge fan of Past Gas. I learn so much from you guys all the time. In fact, all of Donut, including everyone involved from editors to hosts, has my gratitude for helping me with my depression and motivating me to create a sick project car to show off to y'all someday.
Wow.
Nice. Don't do it for us though. Do it for
Yeah,
you.
do it for you, man.
But awesome.
But awesome. Anyways, I'm sitting here watching the Michael Bay Transformers, which led me to thinking, if these movies with all the cool car shots impacted the car industry anyway, it seemed to me that Camaros became popular after the first Transformers. Thank you, Donut Brody. They actually used that movie to launch the Camaro when it came back.
Yep. That was a huge marketing ploy. GM supplied a ton of vehicles for the Transformers series in those early movies. And if you'll notice, the bad guy, the bad robot, the cop car that was a Saline Mustang cop car.
Oh, because
Wow.
Mustangs are
Yeah.
bad and Camaros are
Wow.
bumblebees.
Yep, that's right.
You can buy me at the
nearest
Chevy dealer.
You know, I get movie marketing. It sounds like an interesting topic.
That sounds like a great topic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brody.
Yeah,
Thanks, Brody.
Thanks,
Brody,
Brody.
thank you for getting in contact with the show. If you'd like to email at us, hit us up at passgas@donutmedia.com. We'd love to hear from you. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the show each and every week. We really, really appreciate
That's
it.
my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, thank you for making us the #1 automotive podcast and the number 60 comedy podcast.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Anyway, follow the guys. Follow James Pumphrey at James Pumphrey. Follow Joe at Joe G. Weber. Follow me at Nolan J. Sykes if you'd like. Big thank you to our producers, as always, Christina Felsky, Gavin Kinzel, and Nick Giamuso
Nick
on the
Moose.
freaking cameras here. And
And
our
our writer, Sam Clemmer.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you for listening once again. And we'll see you next week.